One good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. This is a quote by Bob Marley. Whether it is playing an instrument or listening to music, music is a means of retreat. It helps both your physical and mental health. How does music make you feel?
Music makes me feel good because I think it's a really good way to let out stress and kind of reflect on your day and just enjoy what you're doing, and it's something that really makes you feel good and motivated.
Music makes me feel really good. It's a great de-stressor. I love playing it in my pastime, and it's a lot of fun.
Makes me feel good. Makes me feel happy about what I'm doing.
I have been playing music for a while now, whether it was the piano or even the recorder in grade 3. Even the smallest of instruments can be an inspiration to somebody, even if it doesn't sound very good. When I was in grade 7, I started to play percussion, or the drums. At first, I was not very good, but with practice, I started to get the hang of it, and I really enjoyed playing. I found something in music. I found happiness. Music is more than instruments and notes being played. There is character in each and every single note, played by a musician. Each song that you hear has a different theme and a different story. And there are countless different ways that you can interpret music. There is music for when you are feeling sad, and there is music for when you are feeling happy. But most importantly, music benefits the brain. It enhances brain activity. It enhances feelings. It helps people understand. Now, the topic that I chose for my passion project was music. What I mainly focused on was how learning an instrument or simply playing or listening to music affects mental health and somebody's personal well-being. I gathered Lauren, Ethan, and my brother Kevin, some having prior interest in music and others were not as interested. With my help and lessons, I taught them how to play the drums. Now, I am not the greatest teacher in the world, but I introduced them to the drums, and by the time all of my lessons were finished, they had a pretty good understanding of the drums, and were good enough at playing the drums so that they could play it by themselves. My goal was to understand the emotions that people who were learning an instrument go through. I took a survey before I started my lessons, a survey about how they feel about music. As you can see by the survey, people really enjoy music. Now that I can see that they already enjoy music, I wanted to see if I could enhance that enjoyment. I wanted to see how they would change emotionally about music. Would you think that they would be happier overall after learning a new instrument? I thought they might, but some people are different than others, and only time could tell. Over 4 weeks, I taught them the drums, 1 2-hour lesson per student each week. I started with simple rhythms like quarter notes and 8 notes and proper sticking. So here is the first sheet music that I provided for my students. It is 12 bars and is simply quarter notes and 8 notes. I find this to be the perfect sheet music for beginning students. It is simple enough for inexperienced people, but at the same time it provides more of a challenge with practicing, sticking, and hitting all of the beats correctly. I found that they only struggled a bit when trying to play this rhythm for the first time, but once they picked up on the rhythm, they were able to master it. Once they were able to complete it perfectly 2 times in a row, I gave them a quick survey to see how they truly felt after learning and mastering the new rhythm. As you can see, they felt good about how they did. They said that they felt happy with how quickly they accomplished their goals and that they wanted something more challenging. So I introduced 16th notes to them. Now 16th notes are harder than other notes because you need to be able to play it faster, and I found a perfect worksheet with the perfect blend of notes. Before I let them practice, I played it for them so that they could hear how to properly play it, and I also counted it out with them so that they could understand how to count out the beats. When I let them practice, they struggled with the 16th notes. Maybe it was because of the speed that they had to play at, so I let them play it very slowly. Once they were told to play it slower, they were able to play all of the notes correctly. After this, they could then speed up and play it quicker. Once they could complete the piece, I gave them another survey to see how they felt. As you can see, they are proud of their accomplishments yet again. As the difficulty in the piece gets progressively harder, they feel better and better about their performance and how they are able to accomplish such tasks. How did learning a new instrument make you feel?
It made me feel really good because I've never been able to play an instrument before, so after each session when I was progressing more and more with learning how to play the drums, it kind of it added a lot of motivation, and it felt really good to succeed in something that I was doing, especially a new instrument.
Well, it was very challenging learning how to play the drums, especially due to the fact that I normally play bass guitar and it's a completely different instrument. So it was challenging to start with, but I think it really helped me develop myself as a musician after learning a new instrument, especially the drums.
It makes me feel good. It's better that I can play another instrument that I didn't know how to play before.
So that was my process of teaching. I would introduce them to the new rhythms, then I would go over it with them, then I would let them practice, and if they needed any help, I would provide. Then once they were able to play the piece, I would give them a survey on how they felt each time. So there was a lot that I took out of teaching people how to play the drums. The first thing that I found was that it was harder to teach an instrument than I thought. Because people learn differently, I had to alter the way that I taught to be able to help everybody. If somebody was struggling to learn a concept, I had to change what was more comfortable for me so that I could help them. By adapting to their learning style, they picked up on the ideas quicker. The main thing that I took out of my passion project was that music means something different to everybody. Music changes from person to person. Maybe one person thinks of music as a retreat from reality, whereas somebody else might think of it as simply there as background noise. Some people dive deep into a specific song, whereas some people listen to a song once, say, cool song, and then move on. What I learned is that music affects everybody, even if it is very slight change in how they feel. Music makes people feel happy, and I found that you don't have to be incredible at an instrument for it to make you feel that way. My brother, for example, was extremely satisfied with his results from just learning how to play the basics. He found joy in learning, and I learned that since he felt good about how he was playing, he was more motivated for the next lesson. He would be able to look back on what he already did the last lesson and apply it to his next lesson. Overall, all of my participants really enjoyed learning how to play the drums. I took a survey at the end of the last lesson and asked some questions, and they said that 2 hours a week for 4 weeks was the perfect amount of time so that they could learn the new material, but at the same time not be overloaded by information. After every lesson, I asked them how they were feeling, and each time they always said that they felt happier than they did before. I didn't get into detail about how their day was before the lessons because that's none of my business, but when playing an instrument, it got their mind off of the bad that could have happened in their day, and it changed how they felt about their day. With all of this, the main idea I found about learning an instrument or teaching a new instrument is that no matter what, you feel good afterwards and you find joy. So, with completing my passion project, I wondered what they would take from learning a new instrument, and I wondered what they might do with their new ability. I wondered if they would continue to play the drums. I wondered if they would be happier overall after learning this new instrument. To my surprise, they did really enjoy playing the drums, and what they told me was that they felt that learning an instrument made them feel good about themselves because it is something else that they can do. Do you feel that being able to play an instrument now will affect your future?
I think it will, because not only will I be proud of something that I did in the past, but also whenever I hear music, I'll have a new recognition for how much talent and time goes into playing the instrument.
Yeah, I think it will greatly affect my future. There's been many studies that have shown that being able to play another instrument makes you smarter. It helps improve your creativity and your memory. So I think that overall I've really benefited from learning how to play the drums.
I think that when I listen to music now, it'll make me feel different and appreciate it more, as I can now listen to it and figure out what's going through the artist's mind.
Also, what they all said was that they probably wouldn't continue to learn to play the drums. They said that because they do not have drums at their house, that they would not be as motivated to play them. But even though they said that they would not play the drums anymore, it didn't matter to me. The main idea of my passion project was to change how people feel about music, and I believe that I was successful. I made people find more joy in music, and I made people appreciate the difficulty that it could be to play an instrument. I made people happy, and now I challenge you. I challenge you to think about music differently. I'm not asking you to learn a new instrument because that might be too much work, but I ask you to think about the work that goes into a song. I ask you to think about what goes on behind the scenes when making a song. I ask you to find more joy in music. Thank you.